It started like any other quiet weekend morning. I was sitting on my porch, sipping coffee, enjoying the breeze and peace that comes with owning not just a house, but the entire block. Yep, you heard that right. I bought this neighborhood a while back as part of a real estate investment project. But I like to keep things low-key. Most people around here just think I'm another regular homeowner. That is, until she showed up Karen.now. If you've ever dealt with a Karen, you probably know they come with a sense of entitlement you can almost feel before they speak. But this one, she took it to a whole new level. I noticed her moving in with her husband, kids, and enough furniture to furnish a mansion. No lease, no paperwork, no warning. Just a big moving truck and a bigger attitude. At first, I thought maybe it was a mistake. Maybe someone gave her the wrong address. But within minutes, she marched right up to my front door like she owned the place and hit me with, "Excuse me, sir, you need to leave my house. My family's already settling in, and we don't need strangers hanging around." I stood there, blinking. At first, I thought it was a prank, but she was serious, dead serious. She demanded I pack up and leave my own home, all while her kids were jumping on my couch and her husband started measuring the wall for a TV mount. The wild part? She had absolutely no idea who I was, or what I really owned. She thought I was just some guy squatting or maybe crashing at a friend's place. She had no clue she was messing with the person who held the deed to her so-called new house, and every other house on the street. But I decided to play along at least for a bit, and that's when things started getting really interesting. So instead of kicking her out right away, I stayed calm and decided to see just how far Karen would take this. I asked, "Are you sure this is your house?" And she shot back, "Yes, we signed a lease online. The owner said we could move in. Today, you're trespassing, and I will call the police if you don't leave." Her confidence was something else. She didn't just believe she belonged there, she was ready to fight for it. Meanwhile, I was standing in my own doorway, still, in shock at how bold someone could be. Her husband barely glanced at me, acting like I was the help or something. The kids were already upstairs picking out rooms. It was chaos. Now here's the thing, this neighborhood isn't listed on any public rental site. I keep it private, working, with only verified tenants, and all the properties are managed through my team. So if Karen had a lease, it definitely wasn't from me. And something told me it wasn't just a mix-up. Either she got scammed or she was trying to pull one herself to make it even weirder. She started walking around the place like she owned it. She told me to take my little bag and go back to wherever I came from because her family needed privacy to unpack. That's when it clicked. She truly believed she had every right to be there. No hesitation. No doubt. She even started bossing me around, like she was the one doing me a favor by letting me hang around for a few more minutes. What she didn't know was that I already called my property manager and checked the camera footage. And trust me, what we found made the whole situation 10 times more suspicious. But I didn't say a word. Not yet. Because this was just the beginning. I stood there quietly as Karen strutted through my living room like she was on a home makeover show, throwing out comments about how the wallpaper was dated and how she was planning to repaint everything. Meanwhile, her husband dragged in more boxes and barely made eye contact with me, like I didn't exist. I wasn't just stunned, I was curious. Something about this whole situation felt too calculated to be a mistake. I stepped outside to take a call from my property manager, and what she told me confirmed my suspicion. There was no lease, no listing, nothing in our system that mentioned this family or their name, and the security footage. It showed Karen meeting someone at a coffee shop 2 days earlier, exchanging a thick envelope, then being handed what looked like fake lease papers and a set of keys that clearly didn't belong to any unit in my portfolio. That's when things took a darker turn. While I was still outside, one of my longtime tenants from across the street came over and whispered, "Hey, are you okay? That lady was yelling at the mailman earlier, said your name wasn't on anything and that she's the new owner." Word was already spreading. A few other neighbors had noticed the moving truck and were starting to wonder if something shady was going on. But here's where it got even messier. Karen wasn't working alone. I later spotted her texting someone while pacing near the backyard. And I recognized the guy in her phone background. He was part of a local group known for running rental scams in nearby neighborhoods, convincing desperate families they could rent luxury homes for a fraction of the price cash only. I'd heard of them before, but never imagined they'd try it here. What Karen didn't know was she had walked right into the worst possible target. But I still hadn't made a move, because I wanted to see how deep this thing went. Else was involved. As the day went on, things spiraled faster than I expected. Karen had fully settled in, by now rearranging my furniture, barking orders at her kids, and even telling a delivery guy to leave the groceries at the new owner's door. The level of confidence she had was almost impressive, if it weren't so completely insane. Meanwhile, I kept my cool and watched it all unfold like a live drama I couldn't hit pause on. Later that evening, I walked around the neighborhood, casually checking in with some of the other homeowners. A few of them had strange stories, too. Share flyers for exclusive rental deals had been left on their porches a week earlier, all with a fake logo that mimicked my property group's branding. One tenant even mentioned getting a sketchy call about upgrading to a bigger house for cash up front. It was clear this wasn't a random Karen situation anymore. This was an organized scam targeting my neighborhood. While I was out, Karen had taken things to a new level. She posted a video on social media claiming she and her family had finally escaped a toxic landlord and found a forever home in a safe, beautiful neighborhood. She tagged the fake company in her caption, completely unaware that every bit of it traced back to me. I watched the video in disbelief. There were hundreds of likes already, of people congratulating her, offering to donate furniture, even asking how they could apply through the same agency. The tension kept building as I dug deeper. My property manager confirmed that the same fake lease Karen had was sent to 3 other families who hadn't moved in yet, but they were scheduled to arrive this weekend. I realized this wasn't just about my house anymore. My entire investment, my reputation, and the peace of this neighborhood were all at risk. Back inside, Karen was on the phone, loudly complaining to someone about how I refused to leave. She even threatened to get law enforcement involved, confident that I was the one squatting. That was the moment I knew it was time to act. But not just yet. One final piece had to fall into place. Just when I thought I had a full grasp on the situation, something unexpected happened that shifted everything. I was in the middle of quietly gathering more evidence screenshots, messages, video clips, when I got a call from my assistant, property manager, sounding more panicked than I'd ever heard her. She said, "You're not going to believe this. There's a second family trying to move into the same house right now." I rushed outside and saw a second moving truck pulling up, this time with a couple and their teenage daughter stepping out, confused and frustrated. They held the exact same fake lease Karen had shown me, same name of the bogus property manager, same fraudulent logo, even the same payment receipt number. Their eyes widened as they saw Karen's kids through the window. Already lounging on my couch, watching cartoons, Karen stormed out the front door, hands on her hips. "Who are they supposed to be?" she snapped. The other woman held up her phone and replied, "This is our house. We paid in full. Who are you?" The two families started shouting at each other while I stood silently, watching the chaos unfold right in my own front yard. Neither had any idea that the real owner of the house and the neighborhood was the one quietly observing, piecing it all together. That's when I realized just how deep this scam had gone. It wasn't just Karen. She wasn't even at the top of this scheme. She was likely just another victim, convinced she got lucky on a too-good-to-be-true deal. But the real twist, and I recognized. The teenager with the second family. She went to school with my niece, and I remembered meeting her dad briefly at a school fundraiser. He was an IT consultant and had once mentioned doing freelance work for a local property group. A name popped into my head, someone I'd suspected in the past of shady deals, but never had proof. Until now, this wasn't just a rental scam anymore, it was personal. And the people behind it were closer than I thought. The yelling between the two families was getting louder, and neighbors started to come outside, some recording on their phones. Karen was still insisting the house was hers, while the second family kept waiving their lease, demanding to speak. To the landlord, that's when I finally stepped forward and said, "Actually, I think it's time I introduced myself properly." Everyone turned and stared. Karen scoffed, "Oh please, not this guy again." But the other family looked confused. I pulled out my wallet, showed my ID, then pulled up the property records on my phone. I tapped the screen and turned it to them. "This house, it's mine. So is the one across the street. And the one behind you. I own this neighborhood." Karen's jaw dropped. Her husband went pale. The second family fell silent, and the teenage daughter whispered, "Wait, he's the actual owner." I nodded. I've been quiet because I wanted to understand what was really going on. And now I do. I called my assistant manager on speaker, letting her explain how the fake leases had been traced to a digital scam ring. And the biggest shock, the IT consultant dad of the second family knowingly helped build the fake website months ago. He was hired for a side project and never realized it was being used to trick families into paying thousands for homes they'd never actually rented. Karen burst into tears, blaming the fake agent, swearing she thought it was legit. Her move-in was based on complete lies. I calmly told both families that legal action was already underway, and I would cooperate fully to help them recover their money. I wasn't heartless, but I also wasn't letting them stay. Security escorted them out, but as Karen walked down the driveway, she turned back and said something that stuck with me. "You should have just said who you were." I looked her dead in the eyes and said, "Maybe if you'd asked instead of assuming, you wouldn't have tried to kick the owner out of his own home." And just when I thought it was all over, my phone buzzed with an alert: another fake lease application for the same house. The game wasn't done yet. Over the next few days, I worked with local authorities and a cybercrime investigator to shut down the fake rental site for good. Turns out, the scam had affected over a dozen families across the city. Some had even paid full deposits without ever seeing a house. It was heartbreaking, but at least now we had solid proof, real names, and digital trails leading back to the source. Charges were filed, and victims started getting support through a recovery fund. As for Karen, she quietly disappeared after that day. No more viral videos, no angry rants, just silence. I heard through one of the neighbors that she moved in with a relative while trying to get her money back. I didn't hold a grudge. Honestly, I think she really believed she had found her dream home and reacted the way she did out of fear of losing it. But still, the way she handled it, that was the lesson. The second family reached out later and thanked me for helping them piece everything together. The dad felt terrible about unknowingly helping build part of the scam site, and even offered to help my team improve our security system. That gesture alone made it worth not overreacting in the moment. This whole thing taught me that no matter how much property you own or how many titles you hold, there will always be someone bold enough to challenge it. But staying calm, gathering facts, and knowing when to act makes all the difference. And if you ever find yourself in a situation where someone's trying to take what's yours, especially your own house, just remember, the truth always comes out in the end. Thanks for sticking around for this wild ride. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real stories like this. See you in the next one.